I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessup. Welcome to this episode of Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us who we are. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these passed down through generations? Through words, through deeds, through stories.
When was the last time you thanked a veteran? It's time for Veteran Salute Stories.
Zach, thanks for coming in for Florida meetings here in Little Owens. For having me. We've been missing you in the last few trips. 6 of us had interviews done in Salt Lake about our experiences, and we wanted to make sure that you, was the 7th, were included. So, thanks for the opportunity. Bear with me while I ask some questions. Take your time. Certainly. I noticed some patches on your vest. I have a feeling that you'd like to talk about a connection between your Purple Heart and one of the names on your vest.
So now, yes. The name is Douglas McNeil. I don't know if I'm displaying the flavor or not, but
Yes.
it does be. We're going in, we circle several times, perhaps 20 minutes on the western side, northwestern side. And finally, Doug said, this is just off West Street, coming in and northwest of San Francisco. Now just all the other gunships are going in the corner, ships and all that. What was already fighting going on here? So we flew in on a last transmission outside, and I was over here, transmission outside. The last transmission inside the cockpit. Does anyone see the ground view? And I said 12 o'clock float. And he printed that to our familiar of the aircraft in a vertical position sideways, as well as a slightly playing back. Austin just stable to move out. Since we had to follow the air wall, it just let us stop. And from there, he would normally drop down to a later position, and they're going to behind the airport. They struck us with 50 calibers, 51 calibers, AKs, and everything, something had in hand. They went like that. He was killed instantly by horrible death. I was, both my feet were only at the pedals, and when Doug collapsed, he collapsed on the cycling collection, so it was down and under, and I couldn't pull anything up. There was no dream.
You were shot both ways.
I was shot in both ways. There's no way I can. And so I recall pulling off the giving out the battery. You know, I put up fuel in the body because the gears operated by gravity.
Is the aircraft on the side now?
The aircraft was like this and underwater. And then I looked at them in the back of the aircraft as I was crawling out, trying to stay low. Well, she didn't just still I saw she looked. I could not hear. I didn't hear anything at that point. All I could hear was the smoke, my phone, no gunshots, no infantry, no bullets or flying. I didn't hear any of that. And my mind, I guess, I was so comfortable.
I've heard a lot of stories here. That's some years. It's the most moving story I've ever heard.
Veteran Salute Stories is made possible by a generous grant from the Fedora Foundation and viewers like you. That special song, or maybe that commercial you remember when you were a little kid. There's something special about memories.
I know my own needs. And what I need from an automobile, I know I get from this new Cordova. I could ask for nothing beyond the quality of Cordova's workmanship, the tastefulness of its appearance. I request nothing beyond the thickly cushioned luxury of seats available even in soft Corinthian leather. Yet it is on the highway where Cordova best answers my demands. I have much more in this small Chrysler than great comfort at a most pleasant price. I have great confidence, for which there can be no price. In Cordova, I have what I need.
What is one of your favorite memories about Grandma or Grandpa?
My grandma, Sorensen, which is my mother, Muriel, her mother, she's from Buell, Idaho. She moved over near St. Mark's Hospital when I was a teenager. And she grew a beautiful garden. And a few years ago, I went to a family reunion, and as I was gathering up, I thought, you know, I should take some plants from my home greenhouse and share with my family. And so as I went out to that greenhouse, I was just like I was in my grandmother's garden. She's been, God, for 25-ish years. And I went out there, and I was just like this little girl, you know, prancing through her garden. And it was like red hot poker, geranium cranesbill, heart, valentine, bleeding hearts, and iris. And I took all these plants. I filled the back of my car, and I took them to this family reunion. When I got there, I opened up the back of my Suburban, and I unloaded all these plants, and I said, no touchy till the family meeting. Okay. And I went to the family meeting, and it was all over with. Everybody's like, okay, what's going on with these plants? And I was able to talk for several minutes about, I didn't realize till that moment in my greenhouse of all the influence that my grandmother had on me about the perennials and these plants, because I learned them, and I had to think back, well, where did I learn them from? Didn't know where I learned them from. And it was very, very fun. So then the next several years, as we gather or see one another occasionally at funerals and family gatherings, we have a cousin party every once in a while, they'll say, oh, my grandma garden's doing really well.
Yeah! You didn't see me because I was behind the tree. Hi, I'm Tanner Gilman, the big-haired guy from Studio C. You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back. That's my going behind the tree sound.
Your history is everywhere, if you know where to look. But searching through all this? Are you kidding me? Actually, Kindex makes it easy to gather records and add them to your online archive. So everyone can jump in and index their records, making every word searchable. With Kindex, I know them anyway.
And now, Dad Jokes with Mike Agrilius.
Why did the banana go see the doctor? Because it wasn't peeling well. What was the headline when a 10-year-old fortune teller ran away from home? Small, medium, at large. All from the book, Whatever Floats Your Goat, the granddaddy of dad jokes, for kids and old goats.
A lot of traditions are based around food, okay? Heritage is based around food. I mean, think about it. You know, you got a certain kind of music, and you can hear that music in the background, and you think, bam, okay, I'm back in Italy, and we're eating whatever it is. I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of those things that are passed down from generation are not in these clean sheets. No. They're these books. You know, they're thick. You know, they have smudges on those recipes because they've been used, they've been loved. Do you have A recipe from Grandma? Hi, this is Doug Jessup. Welcome to this episode of A Recipe from Grandma. But, you know, in talking with Krista, it just might be a recipe from Grandpa, because now, Krista, you're a cookbook chef. You come from a food family, but you also have a history, if I will, from very good cooks that just so happen to be guys. So tell me a little bit of the family history.
I mean, really, we like to eat.
Who doesn't? Come on, you know, you're Italian, yeah.
So growing up in a food family, the Granato family, yeah, all of my core memories really do involve food. My grandpa, Francesco Salvatore Granato, he came over from Italy with his family. He was third of 11 children. Okay, and they were from San Giovanni in Fiore, which is down in southern Italy, just across from Sicily. And they came over and they lived in northern Utah, and they missed some of the food from home. This was back when you couldn't just go to the grocery store and buy your olive oil and your vinegar and your great ingredients that we can now. So he started selling meat and cheese door to door in his Italian community and grew it from there.
Wow, okay. Now, you kind of left out a little bit, okay? She's being a little modest because, so her grandfather started this group called, you know, Granatos, and then I remember your dad. You know, he had this wonderful deli and had those sandwiches and the olives and all that great stuff. And so this recipe is kind of in your blood.
It is, and I will say this isn't a recipe that's like on one of the cards. I do have some of those. This is really just based on the fact that I believe, and I was taught growing up, that the best recipes, Italian or otherwise, are just based on some simple ingredients.
Okay.
A few simple ingredients, you take it and make it your own. You add in or take out what you don't want. And I knew you were going to mention olives. So I actually brought you some olives. One thing I loved about cooking with my grandma Granato is that she would have little snacks while we were making whatever it was we were making. So, do you want me to tell you about this recipe today?
Yes, please. Well, first, you got these funky looking pastas.
Yes.
Okay, now I got to ask it when you come to simple questions. I just don't know. What is in pasta? What makes good pasta?
Okay, it's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
It's flour and egg for the most part.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Wow.
And then a labor of love to, you know, you make the well and you put the eggs in and you get very messy and it's just a lot of fun. My daughter and I love to make homemade pasta, so we'll do that another day.
Okay. So what's this kind of pasta called?
Pappardelle. Now this is a fun one. It's fun to say, it's fun to eat, it's fun to gobble up, and it literally means to gobble up. That is the Italian translation. From Italian to English, pappardelle means to gobble up. And I love the different names of pastas. Farfalle is my favorite. It means butterfly. I love butterfly. So we took the pappardelle pasta. Now I just bought this. It came just like this in a fun little nest. It comes dry. You put it in your boiling water for about 10 minutes. Let it do its thing. While that is cooking, I simply browned up some mild Italian sausage, about 6 minutes. Added in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then just a fun summer lineup of vegetables. We've got summer squash, zucchini, sweet onion, and some red bell pepper, a little salt and pepper. Let all of that just simmer down, cover it, and it just marries together so well. It really doesn't need anything other than that. All of the natural flavors that it already brings. I love the pop of flavor you get from the mild Italian sausage, and then a little fresh basil, some Parmesan cheese, and dinner is served.
Voila. Okay, now just to get into little details to make sure I understand this right. Okay, so you brown the sausage in olive oil, okay, and then you add the vegetables. The pasta is doing its own thing. Why olive oil?
I love olive oil. A nice extra virgin olive oil isn't going to overpower the flavor of anything. It just adds a little nuttiness to it, and it can cook at a relatively high temperature, so you don't have to worry about your vegetables burning. They can just brown. I love to roast vegetables in olive oil as well for that reason.
Perfect. Wow. Okay. And again, this is called?
Pappardelle pasta with Italian sausage, and then you add in what you want from there.
Okay, pappardelle sausage. Okay, you know, and the ingredients are right here. And then, of course, you know, it's in her cookbook. So with another episode of A Recipe from Grandma, or sometimes Grandpa, I'm Doug Jessup with Krista Numbers. We'll be right back. A while back, a group of Vietnam veterans came to Salt Lake City for a reunion. And one of the wives called up and said, "Hey, Doug, can you do this interview?" And I said, "I would love to." So I got these 6 guys flying in from all over the country. The 159th Dust Off Medical Evacuation Helicopter Unit from Vietnam. We're talking medics and pilots of Hueys. To give you an idea, they took the guns off the ship, okay, so that they could get more patients on there. So now you're flying an unarmed helicopter. And as one of the guys put it, they decided to put a nice little red X on their aircraft, which made for really, really good target practice. Every single one of these 6 guys had done over 1,000 missions. Every single one of these guys had saved over 3,000 lives. Half of them were Purple Heart recipients. They told me stories that I was just amazed with. The stories were not originally intended to go on television. They were actually private interviews, because we do that on Family Heritage Stories. But I asked them, is it okay if we made a special? And to my amazement, they said yes. Well, it went out there, and people like you responded phenomenally well. And then we also put it online. And something about a month later happened that was just like, wow. We posted these 6 stories. Not 1, not 2, but 3 of the stories had comments on them. And I'm a news guy, so I had to fact check. And so I asked these guys, hey, has anybody heard of this person, this person, and this person? Oh yeah, oh yeah. The comments were things like, this was the guy that gave me my orientation on the first day coming into Vietnam. He's the reason that I came home alive. Another one was saying, this guy literally saved my life. Wow. The power of stories is incredible. And that's the reason we started Veteran Salute Stories, and that's why we're asking for your help from veteransalutestories.org. Thank you very much.
You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
Great gardens begin right here. Beautiful flowers year after year. So much to choose from, so much to see. So much fun for my garden and me. For the best selection of plants and trees. Come on in and you will see why
Every day's a great day at Mill Creek Gardens. Ba-da-ba-bum.
What does remember where you came from mean to you?
What does heritage mean to you?
What does heritage mean to us? You don't know, do you? I'm proud of my heritage. I've got some Scandinavian, a lot of Dutch, and it gives us a connection to something that was before.
So tell me about your outfit you got here. What's going on?
So this is historically accurate-ish. This is made from a pattern that dates back all the way. I had a friend made it. I made the shields. We've got the ravens, Odin's ravens, the boss, and I was given a history lesson before. They would make these out of wood. They'd recycle the boss when the wood would splinter, and they'd paint it to kind of give it a little bit of protection.
Okay, and why are you involved in the Scandinavian days?
I love my Norse heritage. I love Norse lore, history, and it's an opportunity to be a part of what the community's doing.
Okay, now, one of my favorite questions to ask people, and it may or may not have anything to do with Norse.
Fair enough.
Okay. Tell me a story about one of your grandmas or grandpas.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you a story about my grandma. She was actually in the Netherlands during World War II, during the time of rationing and all that. And she's told this story a few times. She remembers they'd sit down for a meal, and her mom would say, you know, you can have my share, I'm not hungry. And then after they'd go to bed, she could hear her mom scraping the pan, trying to get some of the leftover food so that she could have something to eat.
What was her name?
Her name is Anne. Vermeer when she was single. She's my grandma, so Ballman.
Objects with stories are treasures remembered.
This pair of leather children's shoes are believed to be from the unknown child. from the fateful sinking of the Titanic. Clarence Northover, a Halifax Police Department sergeant in 1912, helped guard the bodies and belongings of the Titanic victims. Clothing was supposed to be burned to stop souvenir hunters, but he was too emotional when he saw the little pair of brown leather shoes, about 14 centimeters long. He didn't have the heart to burn them. When no relatives came to claim the shoes, he placed them in his desk drawer at the police station, and there they remained for the next 6 years, until he retired in 1918. They were donated to the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic in 2005. After numerous analysis, the museum confirmed that the shoes were indeed from one of the Titanic victims. But which victim? Reviewing the records, it's clear that the only clothing recovered by the Halifax ships was the clothing worn on the bodies they found. Only one infant body was found, body number 4, a boy approximately 2 years old. The crew of the recovery ship who found him were so moved that they paid for his tombstone and were pallbearers for his tiny coffin in 1912. The body remains marked today as the unknown child in Fairview Cemetery, and has taken on the status of representing all the young lives lost in the sinking. Fast forward 92 years later, and thanks to DNA testing, the mystery has been solved. Sydney Leslie Goodwin, 19 months old, drowned when the unsinkable ocean liner sank off Newfoundland on April 14, 1912. With him were his mother, father, and 5 older brothers and sisters, all third-class passengers bound for a new life in Niagara Falls, New York. The U.S. Armed Forces DNA Identification Laboratory in Maryland found a marker that pointed with 98% certainty to Goodwin. Nearly 1,500 of 2,209 people on board the Titanic died. 50 of those were children. I'm Doug Jessup, broadcasting from the Maritime Museum in Nova Scotia, home of the Titanic artifacts. I'll be right back. Everyone has a story. Sometimes those stories are told through music.
Deux yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rêve qui se perce se mouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, me demande tous les jours
What makes you smile? Spry mouthwash helps me smile. I think it might help you too. It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
If stories are not passed down from generation to generation, they become lost. And it's as if these people never lived.
How do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Doug Jessup.
And I'm Nisha DeGaring.